Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Warkak, Kadash, and the Heavenly Father. True name is Yahweh, and His unbegotten Son, Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew Blush with our story tongue. And I say Barak Thumb to the elders and apostles, Wa'akia, Ma'akwaf, and I say Shalom. And this is a very quick sit-down lesson of the World War III news updates as tensions are intensifying between Russia and Ukraine. Tensions are heating up between Iran and the United States, on and on, back and forth. What's been happening for the past 2.5 months as the battle of the Strait of Hormuz continues to heat up once again. And this is from July the 20th, 2026. It says two Diacom tankers vessels attacked off the Gulf of Oman. Because I believe the Houthi rebels has a blockage of the Saudis over there in that region, as tensions potentially might heat back up between the Saudi Arabia armies and the coalition forces that's teaming up with the Saudis and the Yemen government versus the Houthi rebels, as tensions might heat back up, sparkle once again. It says Rubio says Iran using Hormuz as a leverage call on other countries to step up. Yep, wars and rumors of wars. It says Iran says diplomatic exchanges with U.S. is ongoing via meditators. It seems like as of right now, it seems like the peace talks is out the window, even if they do have via meditators on both sides. But as of right now, tensions are definitely heating up, because at this point right now, it seems like ain't no both sides not getting to the table physically. They might do it via text message on both sides, but as of right now, the war is only going to heat up, and we're seeing signs of that. Like it says in the book of Matthew, 24 verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, wars and rumors of wars. Matthew 24 verse 6 chapter. Matthew 24 verse 6, I meant to say. And this is the book of Joel, chapter 3, and verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, which the armies of other nations prepare war. Wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near them come up. As we still seeing tensions are heating up between the resistance of the Palestinians going against Israel Defense Force. You still see classes are still heating up between the Hezbollah soldiers versus the Israel Defense Force soldiers. Now you got a new elected leader of Hezbollah was saying that they only going to intensify the escalations. They're going to continue to resist, and they're not going to disarm the armory, even though Lebanon and Israel, they recently had some talks once again. But that's still not going to stop this. That's not going to stop the Houthi rebels resisting, and they're not going to fully disarm their armory, because they're going to continue to battle against the Israel Defense Force between the security zone areas of Lebanon and Israel, in Syria, in that region. And then you still going to have tensions are heating up between Iran and Israel, as you had one of the spokesmen of Israel Defense Force was saying that with those recent strikes that hit over there in Jordan and all those areas, it seemed like it might spill over to Israel once again. And that's, potentially that might be an indicator that tensions might heat back up between Iran and Israel, because these are arch enemies, Joel chapter 3 verse 10, beat your plowshares and the swords and the plenty hooks and the spears, let the weak sound strong. Right, so let the weak sound strong. These armies of nations, the Houthi rebels, proxy groups, pro-Iranian groups, rising up against the Israel Defense Force. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps made an announcement from Al Jazeera. They were saying they're ready for a ground invasion from the United States armies, or anybody that's allies with the United States. So that's an indicator that the tensions are only going to escalate. This is Revelation chapter 9 and verse 12. It says, the one will pass, behold, there come two wars to the after. Right, just look at that word, W-O-E, which is world distress. And that's what we're seeing. The nations are in perplexity, especially these are armies of other nations. And this is Mark chapter 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, which goes into ethnos. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. And this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3 and verse 1. Right, time for everything. Right, because we are in the time of we're in the time of everything. Of these biblical science prophecies are increasing, especially with these nuclear escalations and tensions are heating up between these nations. Ecclesiasticus 3 and verse 1, it says, "To everything there is a season, and a time of every purpose of heaven." Right, so we're in these modern day times and seasons and every purpose of heaven, which is modern day biblical times and science times. Go down a couple of verses. Matter of fact, verse 8. Ecclesiasticus 3 verse 8. It says, "In a time to love, in a time of HATE, in a time of war, time of peace." Right, so we live in a time of war. Wars, rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Tensions are heating back up in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Armageddon 1, as we're getting close to the Third World War. Like it says in the book of Revelation, verse 14, the second will pass, behold, the third will coming quickly. It's the book of Revelations, 11, verse 14. The second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly. Right, so the second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly. They said increasing signs of that, like I mentioned before. So I'm going to check out the Middle East, Western Asia. It says Iran president said country in full-scale war with the United States. Yep, wars and rumors of wars. That's a prime example. Revelation 11, verse 14, the second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly. Joel, the third chapter. Wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. That's what we're seeing. It says the Iranian president said on Monday his country was in a full war with the United States and that Tehran should accept the repercussions of the conflict. It says the reality is that today's Islamic Iran is engaged in a full war. And the president of Iran adding that we must realistically accept the natural consequences of the resistance. He said, according to the president's statement, the most important battlefield today is the economic and livelihood of the people, said the Iranian president in a meeting in Tehran and judicial officials. If economic pressure causes social discontent to form, this discontent spreads, the enormous social capital that the people have created in support of the state may be damaged. In June, inflation in Iran accelerated sharply due to the war, reaching peaks nearly 90%.
Hello, Moto.
It says figures for the late July are not yet available. In late December, in a protest movement initially sparked a high cost of living rapidly transformed into a widespread anti-government demonstration sparked on January 8th and the 9th. The Iranian authorities reported that more than 3,000 unalive executed the violence to the group's acts orchestrated by the United States and Israel. Foreign-based NGOs, however, put the unalive to much more higher. So as you see it, the president says they are in a full war with the United States, economical war, oil war, and nuclear war, no three categories. It says Bahram says drone attacks targets air navigation equipment flights ineffective. It says Hamas names a new leader. U.S. sanctions Sudan's for chemical weapons, what we know. Right, as tensions continue to heat up over there in Sudan and South Sudan, which has been going on for the past couple of years. It says Palestinian says Israeli forces unalive 2 during a shelter attack. It says under pressure, Syria overhaul its security approach. They really gonna be on the heavy. The president of Syria gonna be really on the heavy pressure now because you got escalations are heating back up between the proxy groups and the pro-Iranian groups going against the Israel Defense Force and its allies over there in that area. And then you're going to see that Ezekiel the 38th chapter comes into full effect in that Isaiah 17 verse 1. So I just want to add a side note to that. Yep, since I mentioned that. because you're gonna have the pro-Kurdistan armies and the Kurdistan armies battling against the Iranians. And then you're going to have the Turkish armies might battle against the Kurdistan armies once again, because you're going to have Russia and Turkey and military bases over there in Iraq and Syria as well too, potentially going against the Kurdistan armies and the Turkish armies. I mean the Kurdistan armies. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 17, and verse 1. It says, the prophecies about Damascus, the burden of Damascus, and behold, Damascus take away being a city shall be Israel heat. Right, so Damascus and Syria definitely gonna be fully taken away from being a city shall be Israel heat. So that let you know the president of Syria is really gonna be under heavy pressure now, because tensions gonna escalate between those proxy groups and those different armies of nations over there in Iraq and Syria. So throughout that whole area of Syria is gonna be a increasing war around that whole area right there. Isaiah 17 verse 9, in that day shall his spoiled cities as be forsaken and brought in the uttermost branch, which they left because of the children of Israel, and there should be desolate. Right, future prophecy was seen in the making of Isaiah 17 verse 1. Alright, check out some more news articles. Check out news now. This is a World War III news update. It says Putin meets with North Korean foreign minister on diplomatic push. It says Russia and Ukraine exchange overnight strikes as drone attacks target Moscow regions. Ukraine drones hits Russian logistic oil infrastructure shipping. Right, so the Russian-Ukraine situation is heating up as well too. It says U.S. military identified 2 soldiers unalive in Iranian attack on Jordan. It says Lebanese president start visit U.S. first since 2009. It says the Red Sea getaway a war risk as U.S.-Iran fighting intensify. Yep, wars and rumors of wars. It says U.S. relations are 1 step forward and 2 step back for NATO ambassador. Yeah, Revelation 17 verse 16, even though it's been up and down, back and forth as of lately. So that Revelation 17 verse 12 verse 16 is in full effect. The Beshad, the war of the Edomite nations of NATO, the U.S. bloc of the United States and NATO. They've been having tensions there, even though they're still allies though. It says Russia tests a new laser air defense systems to counter drones, but faces performance limitations. Philippines condemns Coastal Guard for injuring Filipino sailor. Right, because for the past, let me say, 2.5 years, almost entering the 3rd year, tensions have been really heating up between China and the Philippines over there in the islands, the disputed territorial islands. And that's another sign of wars and rumors of wars. It says 3 U.S. personnel unalive Iraq conflict, and Hunter Biden opened up to NPR. It says Russian missiles struck a Turkish-owned cargo ship, Odessa. It says kills 10 sailors as the cargo remains silent. It says 930 people have been unalive in the Congo's Ebola outbreak. Yep, 2nd Esdras 15 verse 5 and Jeremiah 20 verse 8. It says Putin thanks North Korea for supporting a war against Ukraine. Right, as we've been seeing the lines between North Korea and Russia throughout the years, and that's recently. It says, last 8 hours ago, U.S. strike Iran after Hormuz shipping attack exploded, hurting in Bahrain's capital. It says North Korea vows to support Russia-Ukraine war until victory. Top envoy has mentioned. Yep, Joel, the third chapter. So with that, this was just a So with that, this was just a quick sit down lesson of the World War III news updates as of July the 20th. I think this is July the 20th. Yeah, July the 20th, 2026. On this Monday morning. So with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakakadash, and Heavenly Father. True names Yahweh. In his unbegotten Son, Bahashem, in the name of Mashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are their true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the Lashkadash Holy Tongue. And I say Barakathum to the elders and apostles, Wa'akim, Wa'akwaf. Till next time, I will say, Shalom.